Ja, dass du mir selten zuhörst.
Ich höre dir immer zu.
Nee, selten.
Ich höre dir immer zu. Mit was habe ich dir denn zugehört?
Ja, selten hörst du mir zu.
Du hast gestern gesagt, die sind Südkorea. Also die sind Südostasien.
Ja, Flying Oysters. Nicht der Erstplatzierte aus China.
Wir haben doch drüber geredet, dass du immer sagst JDG. Ne, wie sagst du GDG?
GDG, ja. Ja, aber das hat ja nichts damit zu tun, dass die Südostasien sind.
Ja, aber darüber haben wir doch geredet gehabt.
Ja, aber Flying Oysters sind die Boys.
Also du willst mir sagen, das war dir bewusst.
Ja, natürlich, das sind die Erstplatzierten aus China.
Ich glaube dir kein Wort, ne? Ich sag's dir, wie es ist.
Ich hab's ja deren Games angeschaut gegen Tess. Die sind halt insane, wenn die mal in Fahrt kommen. Die fisten
Ja,
alles.
waren sie auch.
Wer hat eigentlich gespielt? Kanavi hat gespielt, oder?
Ja?
Gute Antwort, Janis, gute Antwort, nehme ich. Dieser Abruf. Ja, Kanavi hat gespielt.
Würde vergessen. Ich habe das Gefühl, der Damon hat nicht gut ausgesehen, ne?
Gut, GG, die sind insane.
Das war der erste Teamfight und die haben so hart reingerackt.
Aber ich finde das Team auch von Damwon jetzt nicht so der Bringer.
Hier warte ich mal nach. Ja, ist doch nicht. Ist Talia im Pro-Play wirklich so gut? Bin nicht sicher.
War nicht schlecht. War nicht schlecht.
Aber jedes Mal, wenn ich sie sehe, wenn sie den eine Botlane-Gang durchkriegt, dann ja, dann sieht's gut aus. Aber wenn sie den nicht durchkriegt, sieht die nicht gut aus.
Ja, geht schon. Die hat halt immer Pry in der Mitte, wenn sie will. Allein das macht sie schon ziemlich valuable. Sieht nur nicht den Rene-Pick.
Die haben Triple Flex gespielt.
Ja, aber ich weiß nicht, warum er Canyon auf Maokai setzt. Gegen Kanavi auf Grace.
Passt. Ja, aber das stimmt. Maokai ist fast besser gegen diese Flank-Shit-Sache. Ich glaube übrigens, der knallt gerade den Cannon-Pick weg.
Maokai, das?
Mhm.
Ja, Cannon ist allgemein, ist einfach, wenn die Gegner 2, 3 Champions haben, die Ulti tanken können, ist
Ja.
das schon spielbar.
Ja. Wenn du die Frontline hast. Du bist gerade geschlafen, Philipp.
Nee. Sollte mal ein bisschen was machen.
Wäsche.
Nee, das schnell für die Arbeit habe ich schnell machen können.
Ich hab
Ja,
doch
das
schon
ist-
5.
Ja, aber die haben das jetzt schon aufgebaut gehabt. Dann habe ich gefragt, ob ich das auch jetzt noch schnell machen kann und testen. Und dann müssen sie mir nur Bescheid geben, ob es dann nachher angeht oder nicht. Und habe ich noch ein bisschen was recherchiert und dann. Oh ja, gut.
Mir ist irgendwie langweilig. Und ich weiß nicht, ich habe Schuhe bestellt, ne? Ich habe in Portugal Schuhe gekauft. Die sind einfach zu klein. Meine Größe passt nicht. Jetzt weiß ich nicht, ob das ein grundsätzliches Problem ist und ich die einfach eine Größe größer bestellen soll. Oder ob ich einfach nur zurückschicken soll.
Sind, ja, sind sie nur zu klein oder sind sie unangenehm?
Immer schwer zu sagen, wenn sie zu klein sind.
Ach, Johannes.
Ich würde sagen, sie sind nur zu klein.
Ja gut, wenn sie dir dann gefallen, dann kannst du ja schon in der Größe stellen. Oder 2, ich weiß ja nicht, wie viel zu klein sind.
Nee, 2 geht nicht, das gibt's nicht. Größe ist ausverkauft. Ich verstehe halt nicht, warum sind auf einmal die Größe so shit. Meine Füße sind bestimmt nicht größer geworden.
Mine. Okay, guys, all jokes aside, I did pack my Birks, but the only chair I reserved was this one outside of our room.
Yeah, right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Ashton.
I'm Jonathan.
And along with our son, Jack, we're the Black Forest family. Although, if you can kind of tell from the setting, we are a long, long way from the Black Forest.
Or Germany, or Europe.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually here on vacation in Thailand if you happen to catch our last vlog. And for the past 9 days, we have had so much fun. From bath time with elephants to swimming with monkeys, this has just been such a wonderful family vacation for us where we've made many memories with our son Jack.
And you know, now that this trip is wrapping up, we're at the tail end of it, we really started to think about how different this trip or vacation has been for us than in the past.
Yeah, and I think like different isn't necessarily like a different location per se, but rather just a huge difference for us in how we choose to spend our time, where we choose to spend our time, and just sort of unplugging from our daily life back home in Freiburg.
So one of the things we really tried to do on this vacation was to slow down, don't rush through it, enjoy your time, and frankly, vacation like a German.
Yeah, exactly. You know, one of the things that we've been commenting a lot on the past couple of days is that out of all of the trips we've done, all of the different places we've visited around the globe, there's a pretty significant difference between how Americans vacation and how Germans vacation.
So now that it's about time for us to pack up and leave this beautiful island paradise, we thought now would be the perfect time for us to sit back and reflect and take a look at some of the not only cultural differences, but some of the things behind them.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, how doing as the Germans do has kind of improved our overall travel experience. So let's go ahead and dive right in.
So our first point here is that German passports are super powerful, significantly more than the American passports we use to travel here.
Yeah, and you know, I actually think that probably comes as a surprise probably to most Americans because we would like to think that American passports allow you to travel the globe. But actually, that's not necessarily the case, at least not visa-free anyway.
So according to the firm, the Henley Passport Index, the most powerful passports in the world for 2022 is a tie between Japan and Singapore, which provides access to 192 destinations.
But tied in second place with visa-free access to 190 countries is a tie between Germany and South Korea. But you know, this status isn't something that's necessarily new. Germany has consistently performed well in past passport rankings, placing in the top 3 spots for at least the last 10 years. From 2015 to 2017, Germany actually topped the ranking, although this year's score of 190 is the joint highest the country has ever received.
But interestingly enough, if you're looking for the United States, you're gonna have to slide all the way down into 6th place. And here the US is tied with Belgium, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom with 186 destinations. Which, you know, really is still a lot of countries, but it is a pretty big difference.
But you know, it brings up something pretty interesting, I think, for us, and that's that a couple of months ago, we shared a vlog with you that we were actually interested in pursuing German dual citizenship. And in addition to all of the benefits that that would provide us with our life in Germany, it is interesting, though, as well for us that having a German passport would mean that we could actually travel visa-free to more countries than we currently can.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go visit Cuba someday.
Okay, and you know, actually, speaking of the power of the German passport, I think that leads us pretty well into the next point, which is that I'd like to think that in some way, the German passport being so powerful contributes to the fact that Germans travel a lot, especially internationally.
Yeah, Germans really do seem to get around all over the globe. You know, Ashton and I have been pretty fortunate so far to have traveled to about 40 countries.
Yeah.
And we always argue when we're there, we hear more German speakers than we hear American English speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a really good example of this was actually when we were on our honeymoon in Iceland. I mean, here we were in one of the most rugged and remote places on Earth, especially when we were on the northern part of the country. And it never failed that we would walk into a different hotel lobby or check into an Airbnb, and inevitably there would be somebody standing there
Ach,
speaking German.
Johannes.
But even on this trip,
Ja.
we've run into more people who are from Germany or studied in Germany. I mean, like there we were
Denn
Ja, einfach so. Kein Bock
playing
mehr.
with elephants, watching
ich habe jetzt schon 3-mal die LOL Esports Webseite aufgerufen und habe nie gescheit geguckt.
Wegen was denn?
Wer spielt denn heute?
Alle fast. Was denn unfair?
Ich würde es gern angucken.
Was würdest du denn angucken? World oder was?
Ja.
Ja, kannst du doch die ersten 2 Spiele.
elephants, and
Okay,
some
die
girl
ersten 2
next to
Spiele
us
sind
heard
aber
we
richtig
were from
shit.
Freiburg and told us she studied in Nuremberg.
Yeah, she actually even, I think she said she visited Freiburg while she was in Germany on her studies. So
It's a small world.
it is a very small world. But seriously, I mean this in the absolute best way possible, but you guys get around. And I think that's probably why, at least at some level in our book, you definitely live up to the term of the Reiseweltmeister, right? The world champions of travel.
So up until now, this is really all just based off of our own observations. So of course, knowing us, we wanted to go find some data and see if we could actually back this up.
So, although the German population is roughly 25% of that of the United States, in 2019, with pre-COVID travel numbers, Germans spent 82.7 billion euros on foreign travel. But by comparison, Americans, again, with 4 times the population, only spent approximately 74 billion. And I guess though, to be fair with that statistic, it is pretty easy and billion, 4 times euros on foreign travel. But by comparison, Americans, again, with 4 times the population, only spent approximately 74 billion. And I guess though, to be fair with that statistic, it is pretty easy and effortless to travel within the EU, whether you have a German passport or any other EU passport. So in quantifying foreign travel, we should probably also mention here that you don't necessarily have to go far to visit another country just within Europe.
I mean, so in the United States, I mean, basically you can go from state to state to state, and that's essentially Europe, the same thing. You can go from country to country to country.
However, I think for this next point, it is still really important to note that while Germans do outspend Americans per capita in international travel, whether you're German or American, you are more likely to travel domestically than you are internationally. But I feel like as an American, that domestic travel versus international travel seems to be like a much stronger of a difference.
Nevertheless, I think Germans would be shocked to know how little Americans travel abroad.
Yeah, there's actually this urban legend that was floating around some time ago that only 10% of Americans actually hold a passport. That's actually not true. It hasn't been true for about 20 years. But as of 2017, only 42% of Americans actually hold a passport.
While it's not as severe as 1 in 10, it is still shockingly low compared to other EU countries.
Yeah, but you know, I will probably come to Americans' defense at least a little bit here because the American landscape is significantly varied. You can see a lot without necessarily having to leave the US.
It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, like you have Hawaiian beaches, the Alaskan tundra, the Grand Canyon, the Kansas prairie where you grew up. I mean, there's a lot you can see without necessarily having to leave the comforts of your home country.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, fun fact, for example, I never actually got a passport until I was 18, when I was a senior in high school. Yeah, that was the first time I ever left the US and we went on a family vacation to Mexico. But other than that, for 18 years of my life, I never left the US.
So for our next point here, I would like to tell a story because I think it summarizes our point quite well. back in 2017, when Ashton came to visit me in Germany for the whole summer, we decided to go on a road trip way south. So we ended up going from Germany through Slovakia into Croatia, the long way home from there over through Hungary, through Austria, and then back into Germany. But the point of this story is we only stayed in Slovakia one night.
Yeah.
We stayed in Dubrovnik, Croatia 3 nights.
2 or 3. It was really fast.
And then we went to Hvar, Croatia, one of the islands, for 3 nights.
Yes.
And then we had a long drive to Budapest where we stayed for 3 nights.
I don't know. That might have only been 2 nights. We were there.
Oh, you're right. That might have only been
very,
2 nights.
Very quick.
Okay, 2 nights. And then we drove home. That was it. So we were basically just going from place to place to place, take pictures, run around, get back in the car, and drive to the next destination.
Yeah, which felt like a very American way to go about it. Like, see as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and like move on to the next city.
Yeah, and like this is actually pretty interesting because when we were on the island of Hvar, Croatia, we were next to a German family who rented out a house for an entire month.
Yeah, they might have like giggled at us just a little bit when they were like, how long are you staying? And we're like, we're here for 3 nights,
Yeah,
and then we're going here for 2 nights, and then we're going over here. They were like,
you crazy people.
We crazy
you
people.
Are crazy. You are crazy people. Yeah, so this is actually one of the first exposures we had to people traveling somewhere and staying in one spot for a super long period of time.
But I think like the longer we traveled, we realized that that sort of pattern of German families going to one spot and staying in that one spot for like an extended period of time was something that was more common culturally than I think we ever anticipated. Like the other story that kind of comes to my mind as well was 2 years ago before COVID, we traveled to the Seychelles, and when we were there, we met another German couple who was staying there for 2 months. 2 months, just exploring a single country. But again, while I feel like that, is incredible, I don't know if it's necessarily an outlier. It seems to be...
It seems to be fairly common.
Yeah.
So now that we're here in Thailand, this is actually something that seems to be spreading onto us because now we're here for 9 nights, staying in the exact same place and really just kind of relaxing.
Yeah, and this also, though, I feel like while it is a huge cultural difference that I think Americans really do travel quicker as well as like stay for shorter periods of time. Like we mentioned earlier in this video that Americans just quite frankly don't travel as much internationally as Germans do. But I think there is an often overlooked reason behind this. I guess last year we had a video that we shared with you about differences in work culture between Germany and the United States. And one of the big points that we mentioned was how little time off Americans get. Not just regulated, but just on average. So while I have met a couple of like friends and colleagues who have maybe like joked that like, yes, the American, they show for 1 night and then they leave and they go to a next place and then they leave. Like, I do want to, I guess, like come to the defense of the Americans a little bit because I don't think we do it because we don't care about learning a culture or we don't care about like trying to absorb a new city. I think really a huge reason why Americans travel that way is quite frankly, they just don't have the time to relax in one spot. And again, like if you only have 10 vacation days a year, and by the way, those vacation days in the United States include sick time. So if you're sick, your vacation days continue to tick away.
Yep.
And coming to Europe, for example, it takes a full day to get here and then a full day to travel home. And it is incredibly expensive to buy those plane tickets. So coming to Europe for many Americans is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So when you come, you want to see as much as possible because you probably won't come back.
Yeah, so you have to run around place to place, take pictures of everything, and just go, go, go.
Yeah.
That is the American vacation schedule. But again, we wanted to back this up with some statistics. So, according to Statistica, in 2020, the average duration of a vacation in Germany was 11.7 days. For Americans, it's 5.3 days.
And I think to be fair, I would have to imagine that this also feeds into why Americans are also more likely to travel domestically. I mean, if you're only going to go on vacation for a little over 5 days, you're not going to want to spend 2 of those days just trying to get to the destination. You're probably going to want to stay closer to home so you have more time to actually relax.
Okay, so for this next point in our wonderful trip to Thailand, we really wanted to focus on just slowing down. So we are here in this beautiful place for 9 nights, only one spot, which is really, really nice because we are traveling with a now 16-month-old baby, and man, do babies come with a lot of luggage.
Yeah, so I guess like not only does staying in one spot mean that we don't have to like pack everything up and keep moving with like our caravan full of items, but it has also been just really nice for Jack. We kind of spent the first couple of days just lounging around here at the resort and letting Jack get acclimated.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that he is for sure acclimated better on this trip than just a couple of months ago when we went back home for the United States.
Yeah, I mean, after a few days, he's already used to his crib. He starts sleeping really well after that. And
Yeah.
you keep moving from place to place to place. He doesn't feel like he's at home, and it's really hard for him to nap and sleep at night.
Yeah, and I feel like this behavior of sort of staying in one spot for a long extended period of time is again sort of doing as the Germans do, to say. And I don't want to overgeneralize here and say that this is how every German vacations, because of course to each their own. But in our experience, it again does feel like Germans go to one place, they stay in that one place, and they sort of immerse themselves in that new place and the new culture and try to seek out authentic experiences.
And also just to have a peer break away from work and life back home. Yeah, so this is something we really appreciate. We not only travel to the big major cultural spots, but we also try to visit local restaurants, local small shops, local art exhibits.
Yeah, try to listen to local music while we're here. We try to embrace that side of travel to get a more authentic experience of a country.
Yeah.
But I think as well, when you travel for long, extended periods of time, there's also an added benefit that you're not having to like overpack your schedule, right? Like you're there for 2 weeks, maybe more. So you don't have to like run around trying to see everything, do everything, book a tour every like couple of hours, right?
Every hour is planned to do something specific. No.
Yeah, so like if something happens on your trip, like you get bad weather or heaven forbid if you get sick, like you have the flexibility in your schedule to like go with the flow a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point of the vacation. You're supposed to take a break from your life and relax, not to stress yourself out following a strict schedule of events to follow.
Yeah. And you know, actually, though, speaking of getting sick on your vacation, again, I feel like we need to plug that video we made last year about the differences in German and American work culture. Because, again, if you're American watching this video, in Germany, if you get sick on vacation and you have like a documented illness, like with a note from a doctor, you actually get those vacation days back.
Yeah, the reasoning is you're on vacation to rest. If you're sick, you are not resting. You get those days back to use them later on in the year.
Yeah, so I guess like just sort of even culturally, it just goes to show how valued vacation time is for everyone.
Yes.
All right, so for our last point here, I think talking about work is actually a really wonderful transition because now that we are like permanent German residents, one of the huge benefits is that when we vacation, we are not expected to continue working. And that's been a huge departure from my prior work experience in the United States. I was expected to be available at all times. But now that I still work in academia, but in Germany, that's totally not the case. My boss would never reach out to me if she knew that I was on vacation to answer an email.
Yeah, and also for me, for my job, I have completely disconnected my phone from my emails, my work messages. I receive nothing while I'm here, which is actually a big step for me because when I first moved to Germany, I was full on American work culture. I used to take my work computer with me everywhere I went.
Yeah.
I had emails on my phone, checking all the time. I mean, really, it's not uncommon for many Americans to have an auto response up saying, I'm on vacation, I won't respond to you right away, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or I will still keep checking my emails throughout the day. So, no, absolutely not.
Because of those vacation days.
Yeah, your company will benefit off of you being disconnected, so you can come back and go full gas. It's not working 10% of the time you're on your vacation, and you return working 50% because you're still burned out.
Yeah, and I just so appreciate that about not only just German work culture, but it just makes us enjoy this vacation so much more.
It makes me love my work contract.
Yeah.
So,
vacation is treated as a family or as an employee.
yeah. So let us know down in the comments, how do you vacation?
Yeah.
Do you take 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off, or do you like to do multiple smaller trips?
Do the outro. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay.
I'm like sweating now. Blah. Oh. we didn't do the outro. Okay, sorry. All right, guys. So if you, all right, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, as always, hit that thumbs up button.
Really do seem to get around. So Ashton, mosquitoes bite.
So,